I live in the mountains of Boulder, and so we kind of were just looking at our window on the day that the Calwood fire started, and we saw crazy amounts of smoke. I was actually about to start a midterm, and my dad came in my room and was like, pack everything up, we're leaving.
Amanda Reeder is one of tens of thousands of people directly impacted by Colorado's 2020 wildfires.
It's kind of scary to think about losing all of your belongings and you have no control over it. And if the winds had been going a different way with the Calwood fire, then our house would have been gone. It's just really emotionally devastating watching all the houses burn and thinking that those people are never going to get to see their home again. And that could have been me.
The Calwood fire is just one of many wildfires that have devastated Colorado this year. In fact, the 2020 wildfire season has been the worst in the state's history. According to the National Wildfire Coordinating Group, in 2020, there have been 12 wildfires in Colorado, as well as an additional fire that started in Wyoming and spread across the border into Colorado. Unfortunately, as of November 18th, many of these fires are still burning, including the East Troublesome Fire and the Cameron Peak Fire. The Pine Gulch Fire burned over 135,000 acres. The East Troublesome Fire has burned over 190,000 acres. And the Cameron Peak Fire has burned over 200,000 acres, qualifying them as the 3 largest wildfires ever recorded in Colorado. So what causes these fires? Randy Hampton, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Service's Public Information Officer for the Northwest region of Colorado, provided the following explanation.
Everything's just dry. Colorado's in a cycle of drought right now where most of the state is now considered to be in significant drought conditions. It's a tinderbox, and things are just, things are prone to catch on fire. We know that there is, a warming trend. It leads to more severe storms. It leads to drought conditions. It leads to fires.
Hampton also mentioned that fires are natural and necessary parts of many Colorado ecosystems. However, considering how physically and emotionally devastating wildfires can be, it is important to take steps to mitigate their damage, as Courtney Schultz, an associate professor of forest and natural resource policy and the director of the Public Lands Policy Group at the Colorado State University, highlighted.
Recently, I've been working with policymakers who are putting out numbers saying we need probably between $40 and $60 billion of investment over 10 years to treat about 10% of our fire sheds in the nation. And that'll reduce exposure for about 80% of our communities. There's a lot of policy changes we need to deal with. I mean, one is to help communities be more like fire adapted and prepare for fire. And so they need to have more fuels breaks around them. They need to have defensible space around the homes. They need to motivate homeowners to harden their homes so that they're more resistant to fire, because homes will ignite each other. So that's one thing, is sort of the community hardening. And then we need to do a lot more thinning of forests and follow it with prescribed fire, because that kind of mimics the natural role of fire. We need to be doing a lot more of that in the wildland urban interface around communities, and then kind of back, into the forest and in our municipal watersheds. And then also to think about, when we get natural fire, if there are ways to actually let some of it burn, so that when it's not like too dangerous or too intense, we can use it as a way to get fire back in the system. Because otherwise we kind of accumulate like a fire debt, and it just comes due at some point. And so the more we can like allow fire to play its natural role, the better for the long run, even though it has like some short-term risks.
While Professor Schultz emphasized the importance of policy changes, she also shared how individuals can make a difference.
There's sort of 3 things. I mean, a lot of our ignitions are started by people. So people like in the forest, recreating, driving around and causing fires. And so people taking sort of that personal responsibility to make sure they aren't starting fires, that's actually a really important thing. I think people doing what they can in terms of fuels mitigation work. So protecting their homes, cutting, trees that are right around their homes, keeping their brush low, like basically retrofitting homes when they can, to reduce like how easy they will be to ignite. Like those are things that individuals can do. And then also making sure that they're doing that in an inclusive way that's bringing in, a lot of members of the community, so that we don't end up just having like wealthy people protect their homes and everyone else left behind. And then the other thing I think is that there are a lot of like local fire shed collaboratives that people can get involved with to try to figure out like how to work together to address these issues.
For Dispatches from 2020, I'm Juliana Ridgway.